All right, welcome back to Panache Productions, and welcome back to the Speakin Spring podcast series, episode 3. It's been over a week since last podcast. It's been a gap. We had a lot of stuff to do. Will had to take care of some wedding stuff and all that, so we hadn't been able to get one out last week, but we're back today. We're going to talk about missing turkeys, how bad it feels, and how to avoid that. Talk about hunting a little bit in the rain, some advice on what we can give to how to do so. And we're going to talk about episode 3 and 4 of last year's turkey season. This will be the first kill. No, I want to be the second kill we've talked about on camera. And we'll talk a little bit about hunting turkeys on Easter weekend, what that means to us, why we enjoy it so much, and we'll kind of talk later on about special guests we're going to have on here in a few episodes if everything comes together. So take it away.
Yeah, excited topic to dive into. It feels like it's actually been several months since we've got in front of the camera to do a podcast, but it's only been a little over a week, so excited to be back together doing this, talking about what we love, and like I said, it'll be a very cool topic, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah, well, actually, before we get started, I just want to talk about this. I mean, we're outside today filming a podcast. We did one of these last year, although we weren't on camera. We filmed one outside. And the reason we filmed it outside is it's 74 degrees today, bluebird skies, a little bit of wind, but as a spring turkey hunter, this is the weather you start.
You can feel it.
You start to feel it.
So we figured let's take this outside this afternoon and kind of soak in the nature vibes of it, and the fact that spring's literally right around the corner, and you can smell it, you can feel it, and there's not a better feeling in the world than anticipating what's right around the corner. So
by smell it, you mean pollen, sneezing, allergies. It's starting to. It ain't quite.
We were just talking about my, everybody's got their thing where they start realizing spring is starting to happen, and it hasn't really started, but I'd say we're probably 2 weeks out, maybe. We're a couple days away from March, so my go-to, I always look at or try to look for turkey season to really be right around the corner is when you start seeing the pollen budding in the pine trees, the big yellow, where it blooms and everything.
Sorry about the camera shaking too. It's a little windy,
but that hasn't happened yet. But trust me, on the way to work, just riding around, just going outside in the afternoons or in the mornings. Yeah, like that's always my first look. Every day I'm looking to see if they're budding yet.
There's robins starting to move around and birds are starting to chirp, so it's definitely in the air. But you're talking about missing turkeys. That's something that unfortunately we've both done. It's probably the worst feeling you can experience. I'd rather miss a 180-inch buck 3 times than miss a turkey. I mean, I missed one last year, and I think we've already talked about it some. But I mean, it's a feeling that you can't describe. It's so bad. You really don't know why you miss half the time because everything happens so fast. At least with a deer, you can kind of say, well, yeah, I may have pulled it, but with a turkey, I can't definitively say that why I've missed a turkey. I just don't know. It's just a terrible feeling, and as far as avoiding it goes, I guess just breathe, which is hard to do when you got a turkey coming in. But I guess pattern your gun and be comfortable with it. Shoot a lot and get really comfortable, and just take your time, which I don't think any of us ever do. But I don't even know how to describe how bad Mr. Turkey is. I mean, it's rough.
The harsh way to put it, honestly, is in a lot of ways it's a lack of good judgment. In a lot of ways, as a turkey hunter, you get shaky, you get excited, and you're willing to push the limits and test the yardage and test the what you have in between you and the turkey, and you're trying to overcome all that. You think you can always do it, and that lack of good judgment really can bite you in the butt sometimes. A lot of times, like you said, you just gotta breathe and you gotta make good judgment. Like, you can't. A lot of my misses, I'll tell you the truth, when I was younger and was still learning how to turkey hunt a lot, was like I missed a couple actually, trying to crawl to them and all that stuff that we now talk about how we're really and truly in a lot of ways against. But just trying to do that and trying to shoot a turkey more than 50 yards away and just, young, dumb mistakes. And a lot of times you don't know how to take missing a turkey because we know, for example, your miss on opening day last year. A lot of times,
put in a bind.
Yeah, you get put in a bind, but then you're so worried about what's next because as a turkey hunter, like you're not given a turkey in your lap and at your disposal every single time you go hunt. So you got to cherish and take advantage of that moment. And you also don't want to, I don't think this is actually really talked about enough. Like, people think that now if your property's got a lot of birds on it, you don't have to worry about it as much. But people are so, and we've been there before, like, you don't realize how much of a factor it does play into, if you miss, well, then the next time you go in again, for that particular bird, you better be Albert Einstein. Like, you better have taken your turkey hunt to a whole nother level if you think you're going to seal the deal, because spooking them happens when you do that a lot more than we've realized, and I think we've learned that. So,
well, actually, now that I think about it, and I hope to not jinx you with this, but I've never seen you miss a turkey that I can remember. I know you've seen me miss a few, but I don't think I've ever seen you miss one. When is the last turkey you missed? When would it have been?
I missed one. We were hunting the property in Holly Hill. Me and one of my buddies. That would have been man, I think that was the 2020 season.
COVID?
It was during COVID. It might have been in 2021. It wasn't any later than that.
Remember, I killed that bird in 2021 at Youth Day. That was really cold. But it wasn't. I don't think it was that year. I don't remember you ever talking about that. 2020.
It was late season.
Okay. Well, regardless, I was just bringing up that you've been lucky enough that I hadn't seen you ever miss one. You've seen me miss a few, unfortunately. That's a talk we have.
I've missed turkeys. I'm trying my best. I'm leaving out. I know I've missed. I'm trying to remember. Unfortunately, I've been next to a lot of misses, and I've seen misses, and it's just as hard really for the person sitting next to the person that misses.
I've missed 3 now. 1 last year and 2. Let's see. 1 last year.
1 the year before. Bird that came in.
Yep, that's right. Yep, I missed 1 last year, 1 year before that, and then I missed the first bird I ever shot at when I was about 13. So, I don't know. It's good not to try to think about those misses too much. I try not to harp on those and get a negative mindset about it, and just understand that if I practice more and as I get more comfortable and more older, hopefully I'll miss less. Now, are you going to miss turkeys throughout your life, or am I going to miss turkeys? Yeah, I'm going to miss probably 50 more turkeys in my lifetime. I mean, if I have the opportunity to kill one, that's what matters. And we'll miss more. Everybody's going to miss more. A person that with last year, Dalton, we kind of seen him get beat up about missing back-to-back days, but
we love our boy Dalton.
That happens,
But I'm telling you, that there was, I can only, which I can't imagine because I haven't been there, but man, the feeling I felt for Dalton that day.
Yeah, both days.
I mean, that's you don't.
Episode what, 10? 10?
Yes,
sure?
episode 10. You don't get the opportunities, and we're not trying to beat him up anymore, and he's already beat up about it, but it's hard to, believe me, it's just hard for us. Like, when we're there helping somebody achieve that experience, killing their first turkey and all, and you have 2 of the best hunts, still to this day, they're probably still 2 of the best hunts they're in the top 10 probably I've ever had in my life.
The first one would have been the quickest for sure.
Oh, it would have been the quickest I've ever.
Ground, it was 30 seconds later.
It was still somewhat dark. I mean, it wasn't dark, but it was that early.
30 seconds off the tree, he got shot at.
And you look back and you're like, man, it's our fault. We put Dalton in a bind as far as where he was positioned, and we've made a promise to him this year is we're going to make it happen for him. But I think the biggest thing, and what we talked with Dalton about and what we've tried to tell ourselves is, if a turkey doesn't want to come how you want him to come, don't do anything to risk the miss if you can help it. I think that day a good example was let him clear the trees and all that. Let him come out instead of just you start rushing, man. You're trying so hard to make it happen. Sometimes you got to be patient. We talk about patience in turkey hunting, and that's very important with shooting a turkey. Like you had to wait. We joked about what episode did you kill the turkey in the pines and Mr. Randy was with us.
Episode 9.
Mr. Randy, honesty, he would not have ever shot a bird out from up under us. But I guarantee you had his gun on his knee. I was videoing and Charlie was focused on turkey. He probably had his gun on that turkey at 30, 35 yards for a good 15 minutes and could have killed him. And it was, well, he's killed enough. I don't think it was bothering him, but he had that itch.
Yeah.
And it's important to just stay patient. Give the turkey the time it needs and don't rush something. If you think a bird hangs up at, this has happened several times and we've had to do this and it sucks. A bird's locked in, he's coming, he's gobbling, he's fired up, and you can see him, he locks up at 60. And either you can just say, all right, let's play it smart, get quiet, wait on him, blah, 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 or you can pull him a little bit closer and risk a really far shot and risk spooking that bird, or you can do what we've done a lot of times.
Let him be.
Let him be, get out of there.
Come back, you hit that turkey, you'll be there the next day, and the next day he's loud at completely different. So I think the biggest thing once you miss a turkey is just, honestly, it's hard to just let it go. Don't harp on it. Don't sit around thinking about it all day.
But learn from it.
I'm a terrible example of that because, you know, I've talked about before in episode 2 that when I missed that bird, I quite literally hit a tree with my hand because I was so upset with myself. And as a turkey hunter, if you miss turkey, you understand that feeling, how bad it is, and you're angry, you're upset, and all that. But looking back now, I wish I wouldn't have done that. You know, I wish I'd have just put it to the side because I ended up killing two turkeys at the end of the year. So, you know, God has a plan for everything, and that's a perfect example of, you know, just letting it go and everything will take place the way it's supposed to. But we'll move off of that topic. That's a sore subject for every turkey hunter, I feel like.
But I guess the best advice is just trust your limits. You know, everybody knows what kind of shot they are and what type of shots they can pull off. And you know, you want to be risky, that's you. You can't tell anybody, you know. But I think the older we've gotten, the more we've learned to just take good judgment, trust your instincts on it, and just be patient.
One last thing too is, like we talk about all the time, is to pattern your gun and know your gun's limits. If you can confidently say your pattern can kill a turkey at 50 yards, then that's your judgment. But if you don't know, if you never shot your gun at 50 yards with TSS or whatever you shoot, then why in the world would you take the shot if you don't know? You know, there's just no point. Whereas when I pattern my 410, I know I can probably push it to 40, 45 comfortably. Now, do I like to do that? No, of course not. I want that turkey to be touching my gun barrel if I can help it. But at least I understand and know, okay, well, if I need to push it, I can comfortably, and if I miss, it's on me. So I think that's a subject for another day we'll get into. But talk about hunting turkeys in the rain. I mean, if this kind of weather, as a turkey hunter, if this kind of weather don't excite you, then I don't know what does. I mean, this is, as far as gobbling goes, this is the picture perfect weather other than the wind. But we talked about hunting in the rain, which is the worst. I'd rather hunt in the wind every day of my life than hunting in the rain.
Yes. Because
turkeys are hard-headed, but you can kill a turkey in the rain. We're going to talk about how in a minute and kind of some of our experiences with it. We've always said, and most people always stick to this, and I think this is a kind of common understanding among turkey hunters, is that when it rains, a turkey's going to go to an open area, a food plot, a cutover, a field. Most of the time, fields. Again, the main point is an open area, wherever that is. If you've got an open area on your property, expect that bird to be there when he hits the ground. May take some time to get there, but if it's actively raining or it rained the night before, they're going to come into a field and dry off. We've seen that several times last year, and I think that when it's raining, that's your best bet. I wouldn't go walking around the woods all day trying to find a turkey because it just ain't. I mean, you can, I guess, but the best way to kill a turkey while it's raining or even after it rains is to get in an open area, regardless of what it is, a road, you know, whatever your property has is open. Get in that area and sit there for as long as you can stand it, because they're going to come there at some point in the day.
Yeah, I think you hear a lot of turkey hunters talk about one of the best times really and truly to kill a turkey is after a big rain when the sun pops out, because you know gobblers don't have any other choice really. But I mean, they've been locked down. Let's say it rains a whole day, and then it completely clears up and the sun pops out. They're gonna hit those open areas. They pretty much have no choice if they want. I mean, that's the only way they can dry off. But they're gonna get out and strut, and it's the best time to take advantage of that.
They will get fired
We've done
up,
that
too.
several times. They get fired up because, like you said, I mean, when it rains, they're not going to be very vocal. They're not. I mean, they're just pretty much locked down. You can kill them and you can hunt them,
They
but
just ain't gonna gobble.
they're just not going to be those fired up turkeys that we all want to hunt. But I would say that a big underrated situation is, you know, and there's been times when it rains and it clears up, we debate let's go or let's not go, but you know, in the turkey hunting world, it gets more and more popular that after a good rain and that sun pops out, you need to be in the woods. You need to hunt, because it also, another underrated situation is when it rains and you need to sneak up on a turkey, it's a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the ground's wet, it's not loud, the leaves aren't crunching, and like Charlie said, they become so fired up after that rain that they're not on high alert as much as they would be right off the limb, or you know.
They've been pent up for days, and they hadn't been able to gobble and strut and do their thing. They're still breeding, but they hadn't been able to voice it. So whenever they get that opportunity, when it clears up, they immediately go into it. So
Obviously, too, with the rain, I would suggest. I mean, this is kind of common sense, but some people might not know. I mean, when you're hunting them in the rain, you know, if it's in the open, you definitely need to use decoys because they need to see that. That's a situation where, you know, sometimes we use decoys, sometimes we don't. That's a situation where you need them because they need to see that. They need to see that so they can react to it and be like, okay, well, they're over here in this. I'm gonna go over here and check them out.
if you're in an open area, it's really hard to call a turkey across the field without a decoy. And if think about it, the way we would think about it is if you're looking across the field and you hear somebody holler and you don't see somebody, you're gonna be kind of freaked out about it. I mean, if a turkey hears somebody calling to them, they're gonna look across that field and there's nothing there. They're gonna be pretty confused. Turkeys aren't stupid. They aren't smart either at times, but they darn sure aren't stupid, and they kind of understand what we understand. And you know, like you're talking about with after the rain, with the quiet leaves and all that. I've always told people that if you want to get up under a turkey in the tree, the best time to do that is after a rain, because you can literally, I'm not kidding, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can get under the tree, he wouldn't hear you walking in there because everything's so quiet from the wet ground. I've always told people after a good hard rain, that's the best time to walk in there in the dark in the morning and get up under a turkey. So,
And
I'm glad you brought that up.
I would say that, you know, another obvious thing, but like I said, young, you know, beginners that don't really know might not know this, but it's extremely valuable that you're able to use a mouth call to the best of your ability, because during the rain, that's about your only option. I mean, you can't pull out a slate call and get soaking wet
because of the leaves dripping water. And
I mean,
stuff.
and like I said, if you're actually hunting in the rain, drizzle or pouring down, you know, it's soaking wet. You can't use your call. There's no friction. You can't use a box call. There's no friction. But a mouth call, that's why it's really good to try to perfect and get good at a mouth call, because it's the best thing to use in any scenario. So that's another good point I'd say that I think kind of flies on the radar, is that you go hunt them in the rain, you got to be able to use a mouth call.
And apparel wise, comfortability is a big thing. You know, we both have rain pants and rain jackets, but if you don't have those things, I know you may call me crazy here, but take a trash bag, put a t-shirt on or whatever, put a trash bag over your upper body, and that at least keep you dry up underneath your second layer. I mean, it ain't gonna be the most comfortable thing in the world, but you'll be dry. Well, I've had to do it before. If you want it bad enough, you'll hunt in the rain. We try to hunt in the rain if we can, but you got to be comfortable doing it. You don't want to go sit in the rain and be soaking wet for 3 hours and be chilly. Yeah, one, that's dangerous. You'll get hypothermia and possibly die. But you definitely want to be comfortable while hunting in the rain. That ain't no fun for nobody.
No, the aggravating part is whenever it rains. It'll rain for an hour, stop for 10 minutes, rain for 30 minutes, stop for 5, rain for 2 hours, stop for an hour, pour down again for another. Like when you have the time to hunt a turkey all day, that is the worst thing for a turkey hunter, because just like it is for you, that often will rain all day is probably has a turkey's mind so confused because, okay, the rain stops. I'm not locked down. I'm going to go out here and strut my stuff off. Oh, here it comes again. I got to go back into lockdown. I mean, it's hard for turkey hunter because you don't want to get excited, sit up in the sun. Here comes the storm again. You know, we've done that several times where you just got to go sit 30 minutes, get up, go sit in the truck, go inside, come back. That gets aggravating.
Yeah, it happened last year on the second episode. Actually, after I missed that turkey, we hunted the rest of the day that evening, or that, mid-morning, afternoon, or whatever. We hunted until about 3 or 4 o'clock that day. And literally, as Will just said, we would get out, we'd walk in the woods, maybe sit down for 20 minutes. It'd rain. We'd go out, we'd leave, get in the car, drive around, go sit somewhere for hour and a half, waiting for it to rain. It quit raining. We'd get out, try a spot. 10 minutes into that, we had to get back in the car, and the reason behind that is we weren't expecting it to rain really that day. As we talked about all the time, the weatherman is the most untrusted person in the world when it comes to turkey hunting. We weren't expecting it to rain that day at all, so we didn't have rain pants or rain jackets or any of that. We were just hunting. The next thing you know, it's raining, and check the weather, and it's supposed to rain all day, off and on, and so we tried to make the most of it. But it's part of turkey hunting. You got to deal with the weather a lot. It's unfortunate, but turkey hunting, just like deer hunting, duck hunting, weather driven, as it always is and always will be. So can't really do nothing about it other than just hunt.
It's a good thing about turkey hunting. It's a lot like life. You're gonna have a lot of adversity thrown at you. You just gotta figure out a way to overcome it and beat it.
Yeah. So talking about Easter weekend for episode 3, we hunted on Easter weekend. There really wasn't much in that episode to my remembrance that was significant in episode 3. I know you were in Andrews up in upstate, or not upstate, but
so episode 3 was Easter weekend, right? Or when was Grayson's turkey?
it was Grace Turkey, episode 4. I lied. Episode 5 is Easter weekend, because Grayson killed his on Good Friday. I had that all mixed up. Episode 3 was when me, you, Evan, and Chandler, we went to Evan's house, and we thought we had a picture perfect setup and everything. We had scouted this place literally hours this one day. We'll talk about it in a minute, but that's what that episode was. I got mixed up. So yeah, that episode, we literally we hunted that property the day before with no luck. I don't remember if we heard any birds.
No.
I remember what it was. We went at about 10 or 11 o'clock, because it had rained that morning. We went out there, and in that field, we saw tracks from that morning everywhere. That they had been in that field all day long. And we hunted the rest of the afternoon, and we took our time and decided we were going to sit in that field. There was tracks everywhere, scratching. There was strut marks everywhere. We got a good setup. We put a little brush blind in the woods and had it all picture perfect. We knew we're going to come in here, there's going to be a bird coming in this field in the morning, we're going to kill him. So we brought Chandler, Will's fiance now, killed our first turkey. It didn't go at all the way we thought it would. That we didn't. I don't think we heard. We did hear some. We heard a few.
Yeah, we heard some down that wood line way down, but they weren't where we expected them to be.
No, remember there was a bird for a while that worked in front of us, and we thought he might have was going to come to the field, and he never did. And then it got super windy, and actually I need to throw in that's the episode that we were talking about in the last podcast that Will had me and Evan shaking in our boots, thinking that, because Will told us there was 2 strutters coming up the road to our left out the corner of our eye. We couldn't see anything, and I was shaking so bad, and it turned out
I was just trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
yeah, it was a rough day to say the least, but that was pretty cruel. That was rough, but it happens. We do that all the time. We make fun of each other, have a good time. But episode 4, as we talked about in the previous podcast, episode 4 is where our turkey season just hit a huge turn. I mean, we went from not even being on a turkey hardly to we killed a turkey right off the roost, and the reason why was weather. We went from it being 60 degrees in the morning and foggy and rainy and windy and hot and miserable and humid to Good Friday. I mean, the weather literally was like that morning. It was about 35 degrees. It was calm. Literally could hear miles and miles and miles. And I mean, we had hunted. I talk about in the episode, if you want to watch it, so forth. I talk about it in the video. We had hunted that property the year before, and then through Grayson, we were able to go back out there the next year, and he kind of told me where it was at and all that. We'd hunted out there youth weekend a little bit, and once Grayson told me what was going on with the birds out there that he'd hunted youth weekend, I kind of understood that. I knew where the turkeys had roosted at the year previous to that, because again, we hunted out there with me and Will, and Wayne actually hunted with us. So I knew, because of where we'd hunted last year, that where these turkeys were going to roost. So we went in there in the dark, blind, and I say blind because we didn't really know if they were roosted in there. But we went in there, and the sun was just beginning to start to break through the trees or whatever, and birds started losing it behind us. And I could tell within 30 seconds as a turkey gobbling that he was by himself. I didn't hear no hens with him. He was gobbling at every freaking noise in the woods. I mean, he was losing it, and I knew immediately this bird was killable because of just how hot he was. So I started calling to him a little bit. He was in the tree, which I don't normally do, but I did. And he gobbled and he gobbled and he gobbled. And as he was gobbling, I turned the camera on, and of course, the camera battery somehow overnight was not charged and it died. So I turned the camera off and I said, I prayed. I said, Lord, please, for the love of, whatever, please let this camera at least work for 20 seconds when this turkey comes, because I knew he was going to. It was just a matter of when. And so I pulled my phone out. I started recording some footage as I could. And, this turkey finally pitched down, and I told Grayson I heard this bird's wings and everything, and I said, he's on the ground. Literally, as soon as the turkey hit the ground, he gobbled. And there was turkeys gobbling out left half a mile away. There was a bird in front of us gobbling. He sounded like he was a mile away, just barely could hear him. And I was like, man, there's no way this bird doesn't come to us. Well, he did what turkeys do, and he got hung up for a minute right there behind us, kind of in this little cutover. He was behind us gobbling his brains out. Every time I'd call, he'd gobble. And at that point, I was like, man, I don't understand what's going on. This bird don't have a hen with him, but he's losing it. He just won't come. So I got quiet for 10 minutes or so, and I called after about 10 minutes, and he gobbled. And then that bird ended up going quiet. And we talked about it before. When a turkey like that goes quiet, it's hot like that, 9 times out of 10, he's coming to you. So I just sat there. I didn't even make a noise. Turned the camera on for a minute, and the battery was still blinking red, so I turned it back off. And about that time, I thought was behind me, because I called out of the right side of my ear or whatever, and I thought I heard it behind me. I heard this turkey drum. About that time, I looked into the field, and I just saw a big old blob, beard, white head, full fan coming right at us, and I said, oh boy. I told Grayson to get ready, and I got the camera up, because again, I didn't have it on. When I got the camera up, I'm assuming the bird saw me, because he got a little freaked out, and you hear in the video, I told Grayson to kill him. I got it on him at perfect time, and booyah, and that's some of the best footage we got of an actual shot this past turkey season. And it just came together perfectly. I remember I called Will that morning because I was so excited, and I was so excited, one, because that was Grayson's first ever longbeard, but more importantly, or not more importantly, but important to me, is that was the first turkey on our YouTube. And that turkey meant so much. I remember calling Will and FaceTiming him and showing him, I was so excited and pumped up, and I called Evan, and I was just thrilled. And at that point, I didn't even know if I got the turkey on camera or not. I didn't know, but I was just so excited that finally we were able to get a turkey on YouTube and deliver it to y'all. And that's what meant so much to me. And I hate that you weren't able to be a part of it, but the day before, we had split up. We hunted, we were on those jakes or whatever. We got good footage of those jakes that we called in.
That's right, that was episode 3.
Yeah, no, 4. That was part of 4.
That was, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Beginning of 4. We called in 3 jakes. We need to go back and talk about that. But anyways, I hate you weren't there. We kind of, the day before, decided we were going to split up. He was going to go to some property up about 2 miles, or 2 hours away, and 2 miles. 2 hours away, and I was going to stay here, and we were going to try to cover as much ground as we could. And the way it happened, it was certainly awesome. I just hate you couldn't have been there. But yeah, you need to talk about that. We hunted those birds in the rain. Talk about hunting in the rain.
Yeah.
What did we do when we went in there that morning? What did we know and what did we do?
Well,
first time hunting this way too.
that
Last year.
that year.
Yeah.
But we hunted it several times the year before, and knew there were birds out there. Just talking with the landowner and just from the year prior, the experiences we had. But when we went in there that morning, we went in blind, knowing, going off of the year before, kind of thinking where they would be roosting. So we go down, there's a big field that bottoms out. In the back of that field, in that bottom, it turns into like a big, huge hardwood bottom. Got like a big, pretty creek that runs through it. And usually those birds are right on the other side of that creek, if not over it. And we got down to the bottom of that field.
It was raining.
It was raining. It wasn't like it wasn't pouring, but it was a pretty steady.
One of them aggravating rains.
Yes, and it's one of them things where you're sitting there and you're like, man, turkey's not gonna go. Turkey's not gonna go. We're just gonna have to go set up somewhere on the back side of this field in this bottom and just hope that the sun will pop out. I think it was another one of those days where it was saying it would clear up by this time, and it never did. It was cloudy and hazy and rainy, and we were standing there kind of deciding what to do, and out of nowhere, I mean, to nothing, not a crow, not a call, not an owl, nothing. Right on the other side of that creek, in that creek bottom, a bird gobbled. And from where we were standing, you remember, it was like, man, that bird was probably, it seemed like it would have been about 80 yards. I mean, it was right there. But it was a little muffled, a little faint, and I think just the rain and the noise of the rain kind of had a lot to do with that.
But it for sure, when we jump in here, it for sure sounded like a longbeard to me.
Oh yeah.
It had to be.
I still think to this day it was a longbeard. So we were kind of, got a little panic moment, like, oh man, let's get set up. I mean, chances are he'll pitch out in this opening. So we backed up on the side of the field, and we're facing down in the creek bottom, and never gobbled again. We never heard a hen, never heard anything. We sat there. We called a little bit. I'm not saying we called a lot, kind of off and on.
About every 10, 15 minutes we called, yelled,
And
whatever.
it got to that part of the morning where you're not hearing anything, you're not seeing anything, the weather's not getting any better. Charlie's on his phone, and it's probably an hour, right at an hour and a half into the sit, probably. And I look up, and there's 3 turkeys, but you could only see from neck up, and they all had bright red heads. The one in the front, actually, his head was turning blue and white. And like I said, it was neck up.
I heard don't move. So my heart started pounding.
So obviously your first thought was mine when I looked up and saw, like, there's 3 longbeards right here.
Yeah.
It probably 25, 30 yards.
Never made a peek. Just walked right in.
And there was a little bit of brush, like some broom straw and stuff growing out that part of the field, and they kind of like come in behind it. So when they popped up at the decoy, they were right there. So you couldn't see them coming in regardless. You would have never seen them because it bottoms out, and they're right there. And I'm like, Charles like, are they longbeards? And I'm sitting there, and I'm like,
you were videoing.
Let's see. And a couple seconds go by, and then one in the front comes out, and then you can all see, and they all had,
Jakes.
little.
Remember, then they walked off, and then I called to them just to make sure.
Well, really, I think at that point we'd start, because you got to look not aggressive with the calling, but you started calling a good bit, because it doesn't matter, man. Turkey hunting, and if we would have been able to have a chance to get those 3 jakes fired up and they started gobbling together, I mean, it would have still been cool.
We wanted to also just to make sure, get one more look at it, make sure that one of them didn't have beard rot or something. Remember, we called him back, and that one in the back started strutting, and he was beautiful. We got good footage of him. Matter of fact, when I've gone back and pulled some clips and stuff, making our intro video, and I went back and watched. That's some of the prettiest footage we got of them jakes, man. They were strutting, or that one was strutting, and the other 2 were looking at him. Remember, then they finally worked their way off, and I cut, once I couldn't see him anymore, I cut one time. We didn't get on video, unfortunately, but I cut one good time, and the worst turkey gobbles I've ever heard in my life. It was god-awful. So it couldn't have been them birds we heard gobble, but still pretty cool. They came in, while we were talking about hunting in the rain, we went to a spot we knew they were going to come to, and just patience paid off. We didn't even hear, other than that one turkey in the tree, we didn't hear a turkey, and they came in dead silent. But if those would have been longbeards, we would have killed one that day if I didn't miss. And they were up to 25 yards easily, plenty in range.
Take the good with the bad, because the good is, in about a month, we'll be hunting 3 2-year-olds.
Hopefully,
Lord willing, they made it. And they're, You hear turkey hunters say all the time, 2-year-olds are the best birds to hunt because they usually get the most fired up. They're not as knowledgeable. So hopefully that'll be a situation for us.
We'll save episode 5 and 6 for the next episode, and that'll be the last episode, and it'll tie in perfectly to when Mr. Randy started hunting with us. We'll get him on on here and talk about some of his stuff and all that, and we'll talk about some of our hunts with him.
Just to get him in front of the camera though, and let him.
Oh man, y'all
talk about turkey hunting and what he knows and what he's learned and where he's been and what he's done. And
when you talk, we're gonna sit down like an interview, like an ESPN interview, and we're just gonna talk to him and ask him questions. We probably ain't gonna say much of anything. We're just gonna ask him questions and get his knowledge, because if you're from around our area and you hear Mr. Randy Rhymes' name brought up, you immediately think of turkey hunter. And without a doubt, Will said it, I said it, and I'll say it the day I die. Mr. Randy Rhymes in our area is the greatest turkey hunter to ever come through our area, and there's no doubt about it. So we look up Mr. Randy. We think a lot of Mr. Randy, and it's going to be super cool, Lord willing, if he gets on here and talks to us and become a podcast. It'll be a special episode, so y'all definitely need to be looking out for that one. Probably be in the next 2 episodes or so. And then, like I said, we got our intro video coming out, kind of like a little hype video thing for turkey season, and I'm gonna tell you, it turned out pretty good. So.
Last year we were starting from scratch.
Yeah, we didn't have much.
So we tried our best to kind of put together a little video and make something out of it, and make a good little intro. But having a year under our belt and knowing the progress we took in that year, and now the progress we'll take from this year to next, I mean, awesome. It's awesome.
And like I said, I talk about it, or I think I've already released a video. Maybe I hadn't of mid-morning turkey hunting, but it's coming out soon regardless. Just thank y'all for all the support. I mean, we hit 100 subscribers a week ago, and now we're already at 160. We've passed, I don't know if you know, we've passed 50,000 views on our channel total, over 1,000 likes, 300 shares. So I mean, we are so thankful for all of the support we've been getting. It means the world to us, and it's only up from here. Well, we finally have got some traction now, and we understand what's happening. So we want to keep putting it out and working hard as we've done. And turkey season is about to be here, and that's when our content was really going to take another leap. We're going to really focus on getting good footage this year, and worry less about killing turkeys and more about putting out good footage and that kind of thing. So that being said, I think it's going to wrap this one up.
Thank y'all really a lot for your support. Like he said, it's a big deal. We live in a time and age where, I saw a thing where they were talking about the Super Bowl, which was, 3 weeks ago now? And there was a guy that was talking about how it's sad that in a lot of ways our world has come to a place where we have a man on national television bullying another person and downgrading and downplaying and humiliating another human being. And I coach football, and it's a very hard-nosed sport. It's a very, you say it like, old school, you can't be soft. You got to be very hard-nosed about it. But the purpose of this is not to do what a Super Bowl halftime was, where we're downgrading and downplaying other turkey hunters, other channels, it's simply to try our best to actually get all these people and all of us to come together to save the wild turkey, to save wildlife in general, because we live in a society where government is talked about all the time about taking these privileges away from us. So it's important for us to come together before that type of stuff happens, so we can work together, not humiliate, not bully, not work together as a hunt community and support each other. And that's all we're trying to do, and we really appreciate support. Please, I know you've said it, I don't know if it was on the shorts or what, but lately you've really been pitching that if you're going to follow along, you're going to support us, please like and subscribe to the channel.
It helps.
Please subscribe.
It really helps get us out there and get us more traction and attention and that kind of thing. Again, like Will said, our main goal is to help people understand what we're talking about with conservation and with all that kind of stuff, and work with our local chapter with the NWTF and Turkeys for Tomorrow or whatever it may be, and just help wild turkeys. And that allows for us to make, like and subscribe, and that allows us for us to make, more turkey hunting videos, more fishing videos, more arrowhead videos, whatever it may be, to just produce more stuff for y'all to enjoy. And like I said, and like Will said, and like I said, we really appreciate the support, and it truly means the world.
In fact, real fast. If you are a follower, and you've been supporting us, please, if you're from this area in South Carolina, if you know the Barnwell County area or the Bamberg County area, the Orangeburg County area, the Hampton County area, Allendale County, anywhere around here, there's I think it's the Blackwater chapter for Turkeys for Tomorrow over around Orangeburg County. They've been having banquets. I'm pretty sure they had one last week. I think they have another one coming up right before the season. Take part in those things and donate and give your money so that we can make sure that organizations like Turkeys for Tomorrow, the Blackwater chapter, and everything over in Orangeburg County can contribute to helping keep turkeys around. Do your job, do your part, and go check those guys out. Get in touch with somebody that works for them, and like I said, just donate, and I know they'd appreciate your support as well.
All right, well, that'll do it for this episode. Hope y'all enjoyed, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.